Now, you know you're going to be paying taxes tomorrow, gang, so tonight I'm going to make you some bucks. But first, just weeks ago, the Supreme Court of this country began a trial involving a man who I think is probably one of the scummiest criminals in recent time. The guy didn't kill anyone. He didn't rob anyone, all right? Didn't even hurt anyone, except a lot of guys who fought for this country and a lot of ladies who fought for it. He took a match, the American flag, and turned it into a ball of fire. Well, I'd like to show him where he could put that flag while it was on fire, right? Now, he says the flag is just a piece of cloth. I'm going to turn into a ball of fire tonight, pal, all right? But before we decide whether our flag is merely cloth, we'll also decide whether our money is just paper. It's the scam of the country. Our banks, our money, and tomorrow's dreaded deadline, income taxes. Oh, baby, we got some things to do tonight. Stay with us. I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman right now who's a friend of mine I've known since my days in Cleveland, Ohio, when I worked there for WERE Radio. A gentleman by the name of Charles J. Gibbons. Now, Charles is not bashful to admit he's worth over $100 million. And you travel in a gold-plated Lincoln. Kind of overdoing it, Charles, all right? You own your own personal jet, right?
Right.
How do you go about making $100 million bucks?
Well, I did it the long, slow way, the trial and error way. I started out when
How
I
old
was
are you?
18. I'm 48 years old.
That doesn't seem too long and hard to me, huh? Go ahead. I should have been a millionaire years ago, but let me hear
I started out, Mort, when I was 18 years old, broke, graduated from high school making 85 cents an hour in Colley's Market. But I had a lot of dreams. I was a shy kid, and I made a list of goals, and on there I wrote, I want to become one of America's wealthiest men. Well, I did. Took me over 20 years, but I made every possible mistake with money you can make. I was dumb with money. Nobody ever taught me how it worked.
I tell you, man, you dress nice. $100 million bucks really fix you. Your teeth are even nicer than mine. Tell me what your dentist made. Listen, you own two banks, but admit that banks are some of the biggest con artists around. How do the banks scam us?
Well, everybody's been through it. First of all, you write a bad check, right? You didn't mean to. It was an accident. So the check goes through once, they charge you $20 and make you feel guilty on top of it. Then, maybe you wrote it to the utility company, comes back the next day, they charge you another $20. So now you're into the bank for $40. Do you know how much it cost the bank to process that check? 79 cents. All the rest is pure profit. Now, if that isn't a ripoff, I don't know what is.
Got any idea of how many people bounce checks and get that charge made against them every year?
Well, I can tell you that about 1 out of 3 accounts actually has an account check bounced on it. Well, I own 2 banks, and I'll tell you, sometimes you got to wonder who the real criminals are, those that rob banks or those that own them.
What's your bank charge for bounce checks?
Well, my bank charges $20. That's why I always tell people, if you want to make money in a bank, buy the bank. It's the only way that you can do it.
So at least you're telling me the truth. Your bank sticks it to them, too.
You know, another scheme that the bank has...
You didn't agree or disagree. Your bank sticks it to them, too.
You bet. You bet.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know, another one of the biggest schemes is called credit life insurance, and everybody gets ripped off whenever they buy a car. You go into the bank to finance it, you're just waiting for them to approve your loan, and right before the loan officer does, he looks up at you with that sly grin and he says, oh, by the way, you do want the credit life and disability insurance, don't you? You say, what the heck is that? He says, this is great stuff. It pays off your loan if anything happens to you. You should have it.
Even if you get hurt?
Yeah.
So you can't drive the damn car?
Exactly.
You don't have to.
However, if you say yes to credit life like 9 out of 10 borrowers do, you know you are overpaying for the insurance you get by 800%. 60% of those big premiums go as a commission to the banker's savings and loan. And, you know, everybody, when they get home, what you ought to do is get out all your loan papers, and if you've got it on there, you can get it taken off. Go in and just say, Chuck Gibbons told me to get this rotten junk off my loan and give me back my money. And the best time to go in and raise your voice at a bank is always between 4 and 7 on Friday afternoon when everybody's in there cashing their check. You can get anything done. So you see, your bank isn't the friendly place that it's cracked up to be.
All right, I also understand, and believe me, this segment of the program is because you are getting ripped off. I mean, there's a thing going on right now that I can't talk about where I supposedly was involved in a rip-off on some gold land and all that. I want to do a show on that later on, too, all right? Because I'd like someone to kind of zero in on me and find out what kind of a scam I got stuck in or I supposedly was involved in. You also have some thoughts about being scammed by those little pieces of plastic we carry along, known as credit cards. Let me hear about that.
You know, the average interest rate on a MasterCard or Visa today is 19% interest. You can get a better interest rate in a dark alley downtown from a loan shark than you can get from your own bank. Yet out of habit, we all have those MasterCard and Visas. Here's a strategy that will allow you to pay off those big bills in half the number of months without spending an extra $1 a month. What you do is you find the lowest rate credit cards in the country. They are not all created equal. Arkansas Federal has one for 10.9%, Union National 12.5%. Get a low interest credit card. If you qualify for the big one, you'll qualify for the low interest credit card. When you get it, borrow cash. Take the cash, pay off your 19% credit cards, and your monthly payments will instantly drop 35%, but instead of making a lower monthly payment, pay exactly the same amount you were paying on the high-interest credit cards. You're out of debt in half the time. Nobody can stop you if you know how money really works. And that's what took me so long to figure out was, what's the truth about it?
It really is just knowing how to make it work. How about people like us in this audience, all right? Up until a few years ago, I mean, you know, I was making $35,000, $40,000 a year and damn glad of it, all right?
Yeah.
Now, you say, oh, well, hey, man, the money's just coming in. What the hell do I do? I don't even care. I mean, I get ripped off all the time. All I care about is I got enough to pay my bills for the first time in my life. What about us who are making $30,000, $35,000 a year? How do we ever get to a point where we can accumulate enough wealth so that we really have a piece of the pie?
The first thing you've got to do is stop making all the financial mistakes. With taxes and with these kinds of mistakes we're talking about, most families are losing $1,000 a month of spendable income just from the mistakes we make. So that's where we start.
That's from people who are only earning $30,000, $35,000 a year?
Exactly. And you can increase your spendable income $12,000 a year just by not making these mistakes. Let me give you another example.
This book of yours, and you know I don't push books.
I know you don't.
You got one called Wealth Without Risk. Does this book show me how to do it?
Has 268 strategies. It's really a financial survival manual.
Is it a scam of its own?
Well, I've made $1 million off of it already, but I hope that's not a scam because I hope everybody else makes money off of it, too.
Okay.
But nobody in the 15 years I've been teaching those strategies has ever told me one doesn't work. That's, you know, they're the best tested strategies around.
Also, one thing I think before we go into the next segment, all of us need transportation, and most of us need a car, right?
Yes.
For that transportation. Automobile salesmen are renowned con artists, all right?
Yeah.
How do we avoid getting taken for a ride instead of just buying a car?
Well, the first thing is never buy a new car. That's a ripoff. Why? Because the dealer marks it up 20% from the factory, from the lot to the street.
Oh, but the dealer will tell you he doesn't have 20%. He'll tell you he's only got 6%, 8%.
He lies. It's published fact, and you can get the new car buyer's guide down there at any drugstore and see what the dealer really pays. Now, the best value in a car, if you want to save some money, is a car that's 2 years old. Spend $50, have a mechanic check it out, and deduct everything the mechanic says is wrong from the seller's price. However, the big thing is we like that new car smell, right? Well, if you like the new car smell, buy a car that's 2 years old, go down to the automobile supply store, buy a can of new car smell. It's only $1.69, and you got the same thing.
Charles, maybe I can get my girlfriend to read it, all right? And I'll learn how to save some dough, because she's better at it than I am. She can explain it to me. You've explained it to us pretty well. You've given us a blueprint to look at, and you and I'll do it again. Got any other little hints for me real quickly?
Yes. Tax strategy. Don't file your taxes by April 15th.
Oh,
Big mistake.
Oh, God.
Instead,
I'll go to jail.
No, instead file... Not me. Instead, file tax form 4868. It's the automatic extension, gives you till August 15th to file with your signature only. What IRS doesn't want you to know is that because of the way their computer system works, the later you file, the less your chances for audit. The more audit categories are full by that time, you can cut your chances by about up to 50%. And they'll try to tell you it's not true, but I've talked to the IRS computer programmers. We got it from the inside.
My kind of guy. Next, we'll meet a man who says Uncle Sam is pulling the scam of the century in front of our very own eyes. Thanks, Charles.
Jersey, call 785-9071.
Again, this being the day before tax day, I thought I'd introduce you to probably the most famous or infamous tax protester in America. His name is Irwin Schiff. To back up his feeling that taxes are unlawful and illegal, he spent some time in the old slammeroo. About 3 years, I believe, Irwin?
2.
2 years?
I was framed.
Oh, yeah. Actually, he was only given 1. He said, the judge, I can do that standing on my head. Judge said, good, I'll give you another year to get back on your feet. All right, Irwin is the author of The Biggest Con, which is a book here. This looks like you probably bought it in a second-hand store. Is this yours? Is this new?
No, it came out in 1976. Got 80 excellent reviews.
80 excellent reviews. Except from the IRS.
What do you expect?
Yeah, well. Now, as author of The Biggest Con, you say not only is our American money system a scam and our dollar bills are counterfeit, but income tax is a scam, too. Let's start with the income tax. Tomorrow's the big deadline.
Well, you know, Morton, I really came here to talk about U.S. coin and currency, but as long as you ask me the question...
I'll ask you that quickly. You can do that in a minute.
Well, the government really moved April Fool's Day from April 1st to April 15th. Because now they're fooling all Americans into believing they're really required to file an income tax return, which is voluntary. Now, I don't say the income tax is unconstitutional or illegal. The way it's written, it's voluntary. So how can something that's voluntary be unconstitutional? However, the government enforces it unconstitutionally. There's no question about that. But the tax itself is written. Well, if you call up the IRS, they'll tell you it's based on voluntary compliance, which means compliance is voluntary. And since all information on a tax return can be used against you...
What's the word comply mean?
Comply means you have to do something. But voluntary, the word voluntary negates...
Means you have to voluntarily do something.
No, you don't. I was in the Army, Mort, and we were told never to volunteer.
Irwin, how about the money system? I mean, you went to jail on taxes.
Okay, let's talk about money.
That one I ain't too sure I'm going to follow you on.
First of all, you can't even talk about U.S. money because there's no such thing. All U.S. coins and currency are counterfeit. All of it. The United States probably runs the biggest monetary scam.
How much green stuff you got in your pocket?
I have a lot of green stuff.
How much?
Well, I don't know. I got some, but the point is this. We can call these greenies. These are not dollar bills.
They're valueless.
No, they're valueless. They're counterfeit.
I have them, please.
No, because I can...
Did you ever see a guy hold on to stuff that has no value, huh?
No, Mort, let me tell you why I'm not going to give them to you. Because let's assume this was a perfect counterfeit, right? If it was a perfect counterfeit. Couldn't I pass it off and get goods and services for it? Because the guy I gave it to, he doesn't know it's counterfeit. If I give it to you, I get nothing for it.
You mean you're going to willingly scam someone out here and give you goods and services?
As a matter of fact, I stamped these bills. This is counterfeit, and people still take them. I've actually literally stamped these bills counterfeit.
Stamp.
Well, I lost my stamp.
Can't I have them?
No. But let me prove to you. Sit down for a minute. You're going to learn something. Let me prove to you that all U.S. coin and currency is counterfeit. Now, what I would invite the audience to do is take out, if you have, a penny, nickel, a dime, and a quarter, if you have them. Now,
Nickel, quarter,
right,
dime. I don't have a penny.
I have a penny. Now, you'll notice
I had a good luck one. I don't even have.
Now, I have an example here of real U.S. money. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not coined. It's a silver dollar. You'll notice around the edge of the silver dollar, there are lines. And if you take a quarter and a dime, you'll also see lines. But you will not see any lines, Mort,
I'm looking for some
on
real
a
money.
penny. Here, take
I
this.
don't want that crap.
Look, now I want to ask the audience. You will see ridges on a quarter and a dime.
Sure, you'll see those on Ruffles, too. Ruffles
Why
have
don't
ridges.
you see... Why don't you see ridges? Why don't you see ridges?
I don't know. Why don't you see ridges?
I'm glad you asked.
It's got me excited.
The reason why you don't see ridges on a penny and a nickel is because these are called mill marks. When money was made of silver, people could actually take a quarter and a dime and clip. It's called clipping. They would scrape some silver off the coin, pass the coin, and still have the silver. So to prevent you from getting a coin that had been clipped, the government put these mill marks on silver coins. Now, the government didn't put any mill marks on a nickel and a penny because nobody would bother to clip coins made of a base metal. Now, here is a current 10-cent piece. If you look at a current 10-cent piece, if you have it in your pocket, you will see a red stripe around the outside. You know what that is? That's copper. The government, this is made of 92% copper.
You really getting excited, huh?
This is 92% copper. It gets better as I get on. This is 92% copper, and the government coated this copper with nickel, and the government put mill marks on it. Now, nobody's going to clip this coin, so why did the government bother to put mill marks on it?
Tell us.
Okay, because the government wanted it to look like a real dime made of silver, like this one. Because when the government introduced these into circulation, the silver in the 10-cent piece was worth more than the coin. So the government took copper, coated it with nickel, put mill marks on. I'm not going to ask questions more, so you better pay attention. Now, the government coated copper with nickel to make it look like silver. And when the government introduced copper, you gave up the silver, and the government sold your silver for more than the face, and the government gave you copper for silver. Now, this is a counterfeit. The definition of a counterfeit, the definition of something counterfeit is something made in imitation of something else in order to deceive. So this 10-cent piece was made to deceive you that it was a piece of silver. Now, suppose the government made an honest dime. Suppose the government made an honest dime. An honest dime would look like a penny because it's made of the same substance. However, if the government put into circulation a dime made of copper, the government would say, well, this small piece of copper was worth more than a big piece of copper. And the public would say, well, how could a small piece of copper be worth more than a big piece of copper? So what did the government do? So none...
Go to commercials, will you? It can't be any worse than this.
No. Now...
We just heard from the learned Mr. Schiff, who said that our American dollar is just a piece of paper, and now even worse, we have people across this country trying to claim that our flag is just a piece of cloth that can be spit on, dumped on, stepped on, and burned, all right? In 1968, I don't know how many of you remember Yippie leader Abby Hoffman. He wore the flag as a shirt. Well, of course, nowadays, a lot of places sell the flag as a shirt. He did it in a form of disrespect. What a lot of people don't remember is he also wore it as underwear, all right? In 1984, American Communist Gregory Johnson burned our flag in front of the Republican National Convention, and just recently, our students in Chicago created an exhibit where people stepped on the flag. So, we should study in this segment of the show, without becoming too emotional, we should study exactly what our flag is about and find out what other people think about it. We have a guest by the name of Philip Nobley, who is a very prominent author. And Philip, I might add, is a scholar, which you also are, an author, and I think probably a good American. Don't you revere and honor the American flag and what it stands for?
Sometimes. Not when it is led on a charge of American Indians not when it was led, let's say, at My
When
Lai.
was it led on the charge of American Indian?
Well, haven't you seen any Western movies, Mort? And,
Well, you apparently lived in that time, but go ahead.
and I don't worship the flag when it's worn as a political G-string, the way many conservatives like you use it.
Where is this G-string on me? Have you been sneaking into the bathroom, Philip, while I've been taking a... Is that perhaps your bag?
A political G-string, Mort.
Political G-string.
You know what I mean. It is one thing to wave the flag at good American historical events and moments in history. But that flag has got as much blood on it as it has freedom. And I think to worship that flag...
Blood on it came from a lot of these guys who are sitting here tonight, a lot of ladies who sit here tonight.
Can we ask a question? Have you...
Just a second, Patrick.
Sure.
We'll let you jump in here, but I'm trying to get Philip to really identify, because I don't want you to just say these things because you think it sounds good. I want you to say them because you sincerely believe that the American flag doesn't deserve to be revered by its citizens.
Oh, revered is one thing, but it also, we should have the freedom to desecrate it for a...
And we do. We do have the freedom.
And we do.
We have that freedom.
Of course. The laws against
Supreme
flag...
Court, I believe, is hearing a case on that right now. So we don't know that we have that freedom, do we? To desecrate it, as you say.
Well, I think we do in practice. And here's why, Mort. The laws against flag desecration is the last piece of medievalism in American law.
The last piece?
Yeah. Because
All the other stuff is okay in
basically
America.
it's a law against blasphemy. The flag happens to be our national symbol. However, as we got away from the church, we desacralized a lot of things. It's okay to swear in the United States now, and it's okay to criticize the president. The business about the flag is a vestige of blasphemy, or laws against blasphemy. And just as we ridicule that in other cultures,
Just as we have taken every structure in this country that was important to this country, the family, not the easy access to divorce that there is now. I know, I've had a lot of them, all right? Just as we have taken and broken down all these areas in this country to make this a better country for us all to live in, so that we now can say four-letter words, so that we can now disrespect our wives, so that we can now beat our kids,
Oh, come on.
so that we can now sit home like wimpy scumbags and not fight for the country when there's a problem, so we can now hide behind the banners of scholarly authorship, so that we can have wimps like you tell us what we should be able to do in the form of freedom of speech. Am I right?
What?
Is it freedom of speech? Is it freedom of speech?
we're talking about the flag. And that flag has been that flag was also waved over My Lai. Would you wave a flag over a criminal act?
Absolutely would
Oh,
have
you would?
waved a flag. Were you in Vietnam? Have you ever been there?
I served.
Did you know that the kids? Did you know that the kids were packed with grenades? And oftentimes the kids would come up and say, "Does she come in a little teeth for you?" And blow an American GI up, huh?
What does it got to
Did
do
you
with
give
the
a
flag?
damn about that?
Of course
the
I did.
flag can fly over
Yeah.
every brave act we've been involved in. And that was a brave act. Let me introduce another gentleman. Patrick Botbile, all right? Patrick is with the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and unfortunately, there's no such thing as a foreign war in this country anymore. These guys bring them right to our own homeland. Patrick is a man who risked his life along with a lot of other men and women who lost their lives. What would you like to say to Mr. Nobley about his views regarding the flag of this country?
First thing I'd like to say is that the flag is a living symbol because it represents a living country. And the second thing I'd like to say is that anybody that doesn't believe in the flag and what it stands for always has the opportunity to leave this country at any time.
Or, Philip, or to change this country, if you can gather a majority of the people, to change this country to your point of view. Change it.
It's because of blind worship of the flag that many criminal acts and many criminal wars in our history have been
It's because
undertaken.
of blind worship to the Bible, according to people of you like
Look,
you,
Mort,
that
you
many
make
people
fun.
die.
You make fun of the fundamentalism of religious zealots who think, for example, that a piece of bread is actually the body of Christ.
Who makes fun of him? Not
You know?
me. I believe that if Christ is capable of saving slime like you,
Oh, please,
he's
Mort,
capable
come on.
of
No,
having
no,
his
come on.
body in a piece of
Come on,
Eucharist.
come on.
All right?
Look, a lot of wars are fought over symbols. I don't think the flag is worth it. By making that flag holy...
Never been a war fought over the flag
I don't think we fought
itself.
over the flag, but I think that the millions of men and women who served this country decided at one point or another that if this country was worth living in, it was worth fighting for and dying for. And there are still people today that believe enough in this flag and this country, what it stands for, to fight to get into the country. We still have prisoners of war and MIAs that are unaccounted for from 3 major wars.
Are you still fighting the Vietnam War?
Am I fighting it? No,
Yeah.
I'm asking for an accountability of the people who did.
Listen, if we did not perhaps worship the flag as much as we did, we would not have marched to war because Lyndon Johnson or Richard Nixon wanted us to fight it. If we were more critical of the flag, if we took that flag less blindly and used it in art, just as we use it, let's say, in Washington's birthday sales, why can't we use it for political protest? Why can't we desacralize that flag?
I agree with you to a point there. We are not saying that you cannot protest the country or whatever. All we're saying do is in an organized and peaceful manner. To lay the American flag on the ground to be trampled on is against federal law as well against moral laws.
Well, what moral law? It's not against the moral law.
Sure it is. It's against the very fiber that we stand for.
Well, okay.
And when you have X number of thousands, hundreds of thousands of men and women that have died, and I'm going to go back to that, to make that flag red, white, and blue and preserve it, that's what it's all
but
about.
zealots in other cultures worship their flag just as much. And when you get those flag worshippers together, they love to shoot
But Philip,
and kill and burn.
the flag is not the reason for the war. The flag is not the reason for the mistakes, and we've made mistakes, all right?
No, it's the
flag
worship.
isn't for those.
It's
Are
the
you
blind
going to, because
allegiance.
you hate me, are you going to burn my jacket tonight? Are you going to try and bust me in the mouth, huh? If you got any cojones, you're going to bust me in the mouth. You're not going to burn my jacket.
Right.
This is my flag.
Of course
that is my
It's
flag.
symbolic, of course.
Symbolic of something that's red, white,
Ask
and blue.
the American Indians what that symbolizes.
Good.
That is a
The
flag,
American
that
Indians
is a
are lucky
flag
in this
of
country.
death.
We beat
them.
their ass. We own the country
With what?
now,
Machine
not
guns,
the
right?
American Indian, all right?
Well, they used
you
to
want to
own
go
them.
out and live on a reservation, all you knew is how to make them.
Mark, let me add this here. If we had not gone out and put our chest between the aggression and faced those bullets, you would not be standing here today expressing
please,
your views
please.
in a free country.
May I hear from this gentleman? Sir, may I hear from you? Would you identify yourself?
I represent the VFW in Pagoda, 5561.
Okay, what have you
Ralphie.
been hearing? What do you have to say?
I heard a lot of crap from this man over here. You dirty bum. I should say more, but I'm trying to hold it down to be a little polite. For one thing,
the
our
pro-war
Congress,
veteran
never mind,
here.
our Congress puts us in war. Okay, we fight for our country.
Right or wrong?
When we go on a ship or go on land, in foxholes or on ships, we put the flag up. That flag is America. And we fight, we kill to retain that flag. We're taught to kill. You either kill or be killed. Now, if I have that kind of patriotism for my flag, who the hell is the American Civil Liberties Union or anybody else to think that under the First Amendment that they can say those that want to step on the flag or burn the flag have the right to do so by expression? This is bull.
Philip, we now know you don't respect the flag, all right?
I do.
You do respect it.
Of course.
Just like you respect your
I'm
mother?
American.
Just like you respect your mother.
No, I respect my mother more. No people were murdered under her guide.
All right, so you respect your mom more. But there is a respect. There is a respect for... Would
Yes.
you walk on your mother?
No, of course not.
Would you walk on the American flag?
Yes, I
Do it
would.
in front of me and I'll kick your face right off your body. I'll be back in a second. Does the Constitution say you can desecrate the flag? We'll find out now. Gentlemen at this loudmouth just mentioned the ACLU just a minute ago. So no sooner said than done. We have Alan Zellen with us. Alan is an attorney and a member of the American Civil Liberties Union. Are you here tonight, Alan, to tell us that the Constitution says actions like burning the flag or like trampling on them, the students in Chicago. Yeah, see a clip on that? I think we have a short clip on the kids in Chicago trampling. Well, that's pretty wimpy clip. That doesn't show much to me, all right? I don't think I'd throw anyone in jail for that myself. But are you here to tell us that burning the flag and those kind of actions are within the law?
I'm here to tell you right now that we don't know whether it's within the law. That's what the Supreme Court's going to tell us. But I'm also here to tell you that all these gentlemen, and I probably could join them because I served in the Army and I served overseas, and maybe I should have worn a hat tonight. All these gentlemen ought to learn to be as brave in defense of the flag now as they were in defense of the flag when they served in the service. The flag stands for more than just a piece of paper and going to kill people. The flag stands most of all in this country for freedom. And don't be so afraid of freedom. What that man tried to do in Chicago, not this thing, but the fellow who burned the flag.
Johnson.
He turned around and he said our government was bombing a neutral country. We were involving them in a war they didn't want to have anything to do with. They had deliberately tried to stay neutral. Our government told us that they weren't doing it, and they were. And this man wanted
Which neutral country are we talking about?
Cambodia.
Cambodia.
And this man wanted
1984, we were bombing Cambodia?
64.
No, 1984 is what Johnson's up on trial for, is what the Supreme Court is testing.
You want to tell the country something, and you don't have an opportunity to do so. He doesn't have your program. He doesn't own the New York Times. How can he say something very succinctly that people will pay attention to? There is nothing wrong with saying something. There's all kinds of ways of desecrating this flag. Some of them I find much worse than burning them. If a skinhead marches in a parade and carries the flag, damn it, that's a desecration. He's saying that the country defends what he's saying. The Ku Klux Klan carries the flag all the time. What does it mean? The state legislatures...
They're desecrating it every bit as much as that kid who burned.
The state legislatures in the South fly a flag that was in insurrection against this country and killed millions of people alongside the American flag and say that means that blacks are not as good as whites, and they fly it next to that flag.
They don't say that anymore, though, do they?
Oh, yes, you do. Until the students turn around and say they'll stop going to football games, they still fly them. And so you've got to stand up for liberty wherever it is. And sometimes the only way you can do it is in a symbolic way. And so I'm not going to defend one side, and I'm sure as hell not going to defend the other. Because people who are afraid of freedom, you'll wait until I finish, and then you'll disagree.
I think you said enough, and I think...
No.
I think you said enough to this.
What the court simply says is that when...
You allowed an ACLU guy to shut you up?
You said enough.
When the court...
The people here are Americans. I can see the faces here. They're all Americans. We don't want to hear your interpretation of anything as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, we should hear
problem. Nobody ever wants to hear somebody else's interpretation.
This red, there's 7 stripes. There's 7 rivers of red. They're the blood of everybody that got wounded or they that died.
Mort, the courts simply say that when you use expressive behavior, when you do something that's not pure words, they will try to weigh everything in a balance. Is what you're doing worse, or is not saying what you're doing, or not being permitted to say?
You guys here, never mind, you said enough too. As far as I'm concerned, you're saying too damn much about something that these people don't even believe.
That's right. And why don't they believe it? Because you're afraid to open your mind.
I am not afraid. I volunteered for my country, and damn it, I am not afraid. If I put this flag down there and you step down, I think I'd knock you right on your ass.
Why would I say Why?
Wait a minute. My country says kill for this flag in time of war. Yes? Now, in time of peace, you tell me I have to quiet down, I have to throw away my glory, my pride for this flag?
No, you have to defend the freedom that the flag stands for.
You're a phony too, goddammit.
Mort, tell me why all of these brave people are so afraid of any new idea.
They're not. Let's be one
Wait
thing
a
clear.
minute. You may say they're not, but what did you hear?
The Veterans of Foreign Wars, 2.2 million members nationwide, make it very clear they are not a pro-war organization.
I'm not talking about war. I'm talking about freedom.
What we're saying is that when we were called to duty, we
and
did
when
our
I was
job.
called to duty.
There is no one that believes more in peace than we do. And we want that.
That didn't sound like it there. He was ready to kill me.
I was called to serve. I didn't go.
Why?
No. Philip said he believes in peace more because when he was called to serve, he didn't go.
Right. I'm a man of peace.
Excuse me.
Don't tell me you're for peace when you march off to any war that this flag leads you to. No,
But the flag doesn't lead us to war.
No, he
it's
marches
old
to it.
codgers
He
like
marches
you
to it.
sitting in Congress
wait a
who
minute.
take the young
What?
people
Let
and
me-
send them to war.
Let me put you on the spot.
Wars
Wait
are
a
started
minute.
by old men and fought by their
Right,
young.
now, would you fight any war that your president sent you to fight? Or would you decide maybe, I'm not going
if
to...
the war threatened the citizens of this country,
Right.
I'd fight it, yes.
Okay. Otherwise not.
Otherwise not.
Okay,
Let me
there's a
answer
man
these
who would
two
not fight
gentlemen.
the Vietnam
If
War.
I may,
Here's a
please.
man who would have fought the Vietnam
No,
War.
they weren't threatening us.
They weren't threatening us because
Vietnamese?
we contained them in their own area.
Oh, what do you...
We
Hey,
fought
they
the
were-
war
they were-
incorrectly. We could
they
have
were-
ended it in 3 weeks.
Can I answer these
Bomb
two
them out of
gentlemen, if I
existence.
may, please?
How about answering this one at a time, seriatim?
Yes. My name is Joe Charamino, past state commander of the Veterans of
How are you,
Foreign
Joe?
Wars. First of all, I'd like to direct my remarks to the gentleman who claims to be an American, but
just as
believes
you are.
in the desecration of the American flag.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
will-
tell you something, my
Yeah.
friend, and it was said to you earlier.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in this country, and if you don't believe in
No, I
Old
do.
Glory...
I do.
No, you don't. You don't believe in the desecration...
I don't believe that you
believe
own
in the
it.
desecration of the
I
flag.
don't believe that you
Therefore,
own
you
the
don't
flag.
believe in our nation.
That flag belongs
If you
to
don't
me
believe
as
in
much
our
as
nation,
you.
then leave our nation and live elsewhere.
Viva...
My friend, you claim to be in service,
Yes?
and you made a remark that hurt me very deeply.
Which was?
You said that my colleagues here, we fought for our country, and if we fought for our country in defense of our nation and for Old Glory, that discontinued. I got news for you, my friend. It did not discontinue because the love we have for that American flag is more prevalent today, more so than ever before. And the greatest song, my friend, ever written was written by a Russian, Irving Berlin, who wrote God Bless America.
We'll go to the citizens of this country, all right? They're the citizens, our country, our audience. Stay with us, and you call it. Come on.
If you live in the tri-state area and would like to be a part of Mort's studio audience, write to Morton Downey Tickets, 9 Broadcast Plaza, Secaucus, New Jersey, zip code 07094. And please include your phone number.
Mort, wait a
Sir,
minute, before
Alan,
you go,
Alan,
why
just one second. Philip had a question he wanted to ask one of the members of our audience. Philip?
Yeah, to these blind patriots out here with the funny hats on, I just want to point out...
I don't see you wearing one.
I want to... Let me...
I don't see you wearing one,
There's
sir. I want to
Yeah.
say something.
There's a very...
I'll say one thing. Thank God that God gave me the
Yeah.
right to make a decision on my own of what I want to do.
Now, do you think...
And he's not going to deny me the right of love of country and a love of flag, and I fought for this country.
It's-
And let me tell you another thing, both of you gentlemen. As long as these gentlemen are out here and the veterans of this country are here, you'll never change it.
Listen.
Never change it.
Come on, you wanted to ask a gentleman,
mean
ask
any-
it.
okay.
Ask your question
There
to
is an
stop.
American sitting in that audience right there by you who could not serve with you beside you.
You couldn't do it.
Because he is a different color. And I'd like to ask him if he has the same respect for that flag that you do.
Now you got to back up.
First of all, Philip's talking about 1941 to 43, at which time,
Civil
thank
War,
God...
World War
Wait a second.
blacks
Don't
couldn't
go
fight
back
fight
that far,
under that
pal.
flag.
Don't go back that far.
American
Go
flag
back
is
to where we
the
can
flag
understand.
goes back
Let me hear
that
this
far.
man.
My father fought in World War II. My father was in World War II. He served from 1943 to 1945. I was too young to serve in Vietnam, but if I was called up, I would have went because I believe in this flag and I would die for it.
You got it. Let me hear.
But other people believe in the flag, and other people are just as patriotic. What you will not admit is that there is more than one way to be patriotic. I served in the service. I served more than half my time overseas. My daughter followed that flag for 3 years in the jungle in Ecuador in something called the Peace Corps. She didn't kill anybody, but she revered it. But nevertheless, I also revere, and you people had better learn it.
Would your daughter burn the flag, sir?
Absolutely not, and
Thank
neither
you.
would
Go
I.
ahead, ma'am.
But they
Thank you. That's
also
all I
know
wanna
that
know.
somebody may because they have a good reason to do
Zip
so.
it. I just want to say something. This may sound repetitive, but I think that is really disgusting and disrespectful for you to call these people with funny hats on. I didn't see you. I'm not old enough, but you weren't have your butt out there fighting the war. This is what we were taught, where we were brought to believe in all our lives, and you just want to throw it out.
Let me apologize.
Look, he would be so much better off if he wore a funny hat to cover that funny hair.
How could you? It's very disrespectful. It's disgusting.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. All I could say is I was in the Navy during the Vietnam crisis, okay? And myself and all the other seamen, we lived, we slept, and we believed with all our hearts about the United States of America and the flag. And the flag is great, in my opinion. And if you don't like it, and because I believe in all these guys with the hats on, they stand for America and they're patriots. If you don't like it, you're a wimp, and so are you, and they should throw you out of the studio.
Well, here's the beautiful thing is, I want to say to Alan, the beautiful thing I want to say to Alan is all of us in this country, thank God, will fight for the right for anyone to have their own idea, even if they're obtuse to our ideas. Nevertheless.
That's the strength of the country, is that we can have different ideas.
Yes, and we do
I
have
will admit their patriotism.
We have those ideas, sir, but we want to tell you. We want to tell you.
Why will they not admit my patriotism and respect mine?
We want to tell you.
Who burned the flag? I said if the only way you could get a message across. Now, it's against the law to fly the flag upside down.
Tell him to take the flag and try and use it as a parachute and jump off the Empire State Building. We'll get his message. We'll be back in a second. Give him one, too. Let me go this young lady.
I'd like to ask you a question. Do you agree that the flag is a symbol of the United States of America?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're burning the flag, then aren't we saying the hell with our country? I didn't believe in the Vietnam War. I didn't believe in the Vietnam War either, but my father served in this country, and I know that the flag isn't just material. It means our country. What else can we look at and use as a symbol to say we're proud to live here? And I don't really think you are, and I think you just waive your beliefs.
Miss, how about the Constitution?
What about the Constitution?
Why can't we believe in that, which is something that rules and governs us, and that has an
so
explicit...
difficult to believe in, sir, when people like you keep getting it changed around and around and around and around.
We don't
Every
change
time
it.
we turn around,
Excuse me.
the
The only
Constitution...
people that change it is the Supreme Court, Morton.
Supreme Court
And we
ought to
have
be voted in and out of office the same as the people are. Go ahead.
You know, I'd just like to say something to you, which I consider you a wimp, and you a wimp. Because of the way you act. If you were so proud of this hat I'm wearing, why haven't you here tonight? Why isn't it on your head tonight? You knew you'd be here tonight. You know what the circumstances was because you got disrespect for this in my hand.
American. You don't have to wear a hat to prove it.
You are nothing but two wimps, and there's only one thing that we should all sing here is God bless America. God
bless America. Land that I love, and beside her, and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains, through the prairies, through the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Coming up next on the Arsenio Hall Show, meet Walter Payton, former Chicago Bears superstar and the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Plus, the Verts performing their hit single, Casanova and Just Cooling. Stay tuned for the Arsenio Hall Show, coming up next.